Brendan Schaub, amongst others in all fairness, have been weighing in on the comparison of Paddy the Baddy to Conor McGregor, and Brendan Schaub simply said, I don't think you can make a comparison to Paddy and Conor McGregor. Thank you. Where is that coming from? How did this ever get going? It seems to me as though anybody who's interesting to listen to and somewhat clever, that also brings an accent to the table, instantly gets compared to Conor McGregor, because Paddy's not the first. There's been a pretty good handful of people from that side of the world that are good with rhetorical skills that instantly get compared. They're going to be the next Conor McGregor. It seems like a big claim, and I'm not seeing how we're getting made. I mean, do you know what you would have to do to be the next Conor McGregor? If Conor McGregor was to never win again, he will go down as one of the greatest to have ever done it. If Conor McGregor continues to fight but never wins again, he will go down as one of the greatest to have ever done it. He's a 3-time champion. He has won so many world championships that he forgot. Conor insists that he is the champ. I was there when he beat Chad Mendes to win the interim, the 45 and the 55. He says he's won 2. He's won 3. Could you imagine the kind of success that you would have to go and trademark something about yourself that turns out to not even be as glamorous as what you've actually achieved? Conor McGregor switched sports to take on the greatest ever in boxing, of which Conor McGregor never did. Conor did so well that people instantly started to go, well, no, boxing's a big part of MMA, and those MMA guys are training every single day, but you couldn't find me another MMA guy that trains with the boxing or something that went and did well in another sport. You can't bring me an MMA guy that ever took a summer off and went and made an Olympic team. You cannot ever bring me an MMA guy who took a weekend off and went and won the National Wrestling Championship, or even an amateur Golden Gloves Championship, or made a world team in judo. It has never been done by any other athlete because it can't be done. But to take away from Conor McGregor, which is something that Conor does every day. It's one facet of it, and it's not. It's not true. It's a completely other sport, and he went into it. And I only bring that to you because I think we do forget at times just how goddamn good Conor McGregor was. Now, in addition to the fact that Conor could entertain us, he could put on a cool outfit. He could put on the cool sunglasses. He could bring attention just because he was very good with that stuff. Don't ever mistake that with the skills, not only that he had, that he proved in multiple different weight classes. So I'm just asking, are you sure you want to compare somebody to Conor McGregor? And if you do, don't you want to be a little bit more specific and just say, this guy is as fun as Conor. This guy is as multi-talented. This guy will make you laugh as much as. When do you have to say something like that? I mean, to put those kind of skills is absolutely a remarkable thing for a guy that was fighting on Cage Warriors and is now given his opportunity in the big time. And let's not forget, Conor's marketing approach from Jump Street was anyone, anywhere, anytime. Conor was then called on that. As a matter of fact, he got called on it the very first time when Jose Aldo put out an exact opposite style known as Chad Mendes put in. Conor was woken up from a nap, said yes, put the phone down, and went back to his nap. That's the way that the story goes, and I don't have any reason to refute it. But that is an attitude, and that is a mindset. Make no mistake. There are not very many people like that, but that's also the opposite mindset and attitude as Paddy has. Now, I am not putting Paddy down here. I am pointing out for you the obvious just so that we all don't get lost during the timeline. Paddy said, I will not fight the best guys. Not anyone, anytime, anywhere. No. None of those things. Don't bring me anybody in the top 15. As a matter, not just for my last opponent or for my next opponent. Don't ever bring me an opponent that's got a ranking while I'm under the current contract that I have now, and we don't have the details of that contract. Is that a 3-fight contract? We just got to do one more, then we can move Paddy up in competition? Does Paddy have a 5-fight contract? It's going to be all the way to 2023 till we can move Paddy up in competition. It's never been done before. I hate that attitude, but I'm not ready to put it down yet, because I don't have anything historically pointing to somebody who's done this particularly publicly. All the guys do it, they just don't do it publicly. Every one of your heroes in the tough guy business are secretly a bunch of cowards. They all say no, or they have their managers say no, or they do what's called pricing yourself out of the market. Well, I'll do it, but then the but comes and it's something so unrealistic. All of your heroes are cowards, just so you know. The biggest group of fake tough guys I've ever been around are with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Okay, but Paddy's admitting it. If you admit it, now you're doing something different. Now you're not just negotiating. Negotiating is done privately. When you start to admit it, you're now marketing. It's very different. I've never seen it done. But I just saw Paddy fight 4 days ago in front of a sold-out arena, singing and chanting and cheering for Paddy. It's working. Who the hell would have ever predicted that would work? But it is. So again, I'm not putting Paddy down. I'm just telling the story with the facts that we have, and I'm still searching for anything that has to do with Paddy and Conor intersecting other than they're both interesting guys that bring an accent who are pretty good on a microphone. Now, time will tell. If you think that Paddy is dynamic, if you think he's going to be a world champion, I had somebody tweet me yesterday, and I was going to tweet Dum Dum back. I just couldn't bring myself to push send. But Dum Dum on Twitter said, Paddy eventually will be the champion of a division. I don't, why? Why? Do you see a potential there? Are you saying that he's got some levels of skills that hasn't yet been recognized, it hasn't been tested, but what you have seen could take you to the top? Or do you think he's not quite ready? Why eventually? What do you mean eventually someday he'll be the champion? Very few guys do really good and show a potential and continue to use it. The story in sports, the guy that makes all the front pages in high school and is burned out by college, the guy that's up for the Heisman in college and gets 1 or 2 seasons in the NFL is done. That is much more common than a guy that was unknown, that never reached his goals, that was still hungry and still thriving and still doing everything right. Because don't forget, whether it's sports or life, nobody's better than you. You're going to meet people in business, guy's got a whole bunch of money or he's got the corner office. You're going to think he's better than me. Nobody's better than you. There's just some people that are further than you. They got started faster or they got to where they are a little bit quicker. Your time just hasn't come. But I see people in sports, something goes well. They read their own headline. They think that's where they're at. And they take their eye off the ball. I could go through my own team of Team Quest, one of the most coveted gyms in history that doesn't exist anymore. And it's not because the people passed away, God bless my teammates. It's because they got so many headlines and so much attention and they thought they had it all figured out. They were no longer hungry. They thought that they had made it. And if my teammates were here, they would tell you that same thing. I did not keep making as many practices. As soon as I got signed to the organization, I did less, not more. As soon as I made a main event, I did less, not more. As soon as I got a ranking, I did less, not more. So are you seeing something beautiful and hungry out of Paddy? Is that why you're making the comparison? Or you just assume that he's going the right time and over enough time? Because that's a sucker's move. Eventually, some of the great coaches in the world, just to counter that, because it's a very positive and a very powerful thing from a psychological standpoint. Let's say you're in college, go back to that. You get a field of guys together, and of all the freshmen, you happen to be a freshman. Of all the freshmen, you outplaced everybody else. So you're showing a real potential. You can go with the juniors, you can go to the seniors, and going into your sophomore year, some of them graduate, and you're going to move up. Most of the time, those guys don't make it. They think they've figured it out. Meanwhile, they have a guy in their same class, also a freshman, who did not do the best, but that saw what the best did, buckled down, put his work in, and was hungry to get his name out there. I know coaches, Tom Brands, specifically University of Iowa. This is a world and Olympic champion. And he came up to one of his athletes in an Olympic year. The athlete was named Dan Dennis. And he told Dan, you're done after this year. And Dan was a young guy, so why would I be done after this year? He said, I'm not letting you wrestle. You're done. This is it. You will never wrestle again. I will personally stop you. Dan's going, but I'm young. I'm healthy. Why would this be it? Tom didn't tell him. But if Tom says it, he has the level of respect over his athletes. In this case, Dennis, you're done. What Tom was trying to invoke in Dennis was urgency. There is no tomorrow. There is no more time. There is no eventually. It's right now. Figure it out. You got one more crack at it. Now, Tom did not mean that. He was not being sincere, but Dan Dennis made the Olympic team, reached his goals, and did retire happily on his own because you've got to be now. There's no time. There's no tomorrow. There's no eventually. There's no one. You're on top of the guys your age. You just need these guys to go on and retire, and now you're still under top. Absolutely not. I know certain college programs that won't recruit a state champion. Tom Brands would be an example, and his brother. They were recruited by the legendary Dan Gable. Neither one of them were state champions, and Gable didn't want them. Gable didn't want champions. He wanted these two because they had not yet reached their goals. They were still hungry, and there was no state championship in college. The only championship you could win was the NCAA, which between the two of them, between the two non-full scholarship, non-state champion brothers, they won 5. They won 2 Olympic medals. They won 3 world championships. I'm just sharing with you. Why would you think to the person on Twitter that eventually somebody's going to be a champion? Because you could be right. If you said that about everybody, of course, even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Sometimes. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. But what evidence are you bringing? And where are the comparisons to Paddy and Conor? And if you think that you're serving Paddy by comparing him to Conor, you're not. You're knocking him down. I have never seen Khamzat Chimaev, one of the smartest guys in the media, surpassed by Chimaev's right there, Strickland's right there, Belal Muhammad for who has done the best in the shortest period of time. The rise of those three athletes for where they were 12 months ago to today. Nobody is even close to the bounce that they've gotten. I've never seen Chimaev screw up except for once. He called himself Khabib 2.0. He quickly has stopped doing that. But he was trying to show respect. He was trying to show honor, not only to the region, but to Khabib himself. Somebody grabbed him and said, you can never go as far as you can go if you're comparing yourself to anybody else, even the great Khabib. And it's very true. And Chimaev stopped doing it. And Chimaev stopped doing it. It's a hard stop. At one point, he even challenged Khabib. Now, that was a little bit too far. He overcorrected and he challenged Khabib. No, don't do that. Keep the comparisons. Let us make it. But make sure that you still have your own top, your own places that you can reach. So you're not serving Paddy by calling him Conor. You're now putting him into a category. If you believe in Paddy and you want to back Paddy, how about going to him and say, hey, let's prove it. I'm telling everybody how good you are. Let's rethink this no top 15 guys. As a matter of fact, let's break into the top 15 so that at the point that your contract is expired, you can come in and use that in your favor. If you're completely undefeated over handpicked opponents as a goal of getting a bigger contract, the organization just turns that back to you. We don't know how good you are because you haven't proven it. We gave you an opportunity to, and you didn't. Other guys, we give the same opportunity, and they didn't. We got to give them the money. It's tough. May not be the way that negotiation goes, but why even arm the other side? Now, that's Paddy's business, and he's got people believing in him, but I tend to lend with Brendan here, which I don't see the compare. What is it that we're comparing? And I'm challenging you. Can they both get your attention at a weigh-in? Can they both make you watch a press conference that normally you would have fast-forwarded through? Is that the only comparison? It would seem to me that it is. But maybe you're seeing something else. I'm open to being wrong. Tell me what I'm missing.